Let's go back to something we covered just before the Victorian election, the war against Christianity. Well, that war's so bad that before the election, even Liberal leader Matthew Guy said he was banning one of his candidates, Renee Heath, from the party room if she won her seat. And why? Because she was a member of a Pentecostal church where preachers were against abortion, and one even thought that gays could be converted, something that Heath herself said that she did not believe. Didn't matter. She was part of that Christian church, so out. No Christians, please. But what a change. Heath was elected on the weekend, and it's Matthew Guy who's quitting. And 3 of the 4 Liberals looking to replace him as leader say, Renee Heath, you are welcome in our party room. The 4th, the very woke John Pizzuto, Liberals, please don't vote for him, says only that she deserves a chance to put her case to the party room. We'll explain beyond that. Joining me is Renee Heath. Renee, first of all, congratulations on your win. It's so weak of John Pizzuto to just say you should have a chance to put your case for sitting with other Liberal MPs on the grounds, hey, this Christian's got some explaining to do. But what is the case that you would put?
Thank you so much. And firstly, it's good that it looks like John has picked up Hawthorn. And I haven't spoken to him personally, but I have spoken to many of my colleagues, and they have just been incredibly supportive. It's just been incredible, really. In fact, I spoke to one of the most senior Liberal MPs today, and he said so much has come to light that I just don't have a case to answer. Now, the ones that I have spoken to, it's just a completely different conversation. The conversation is one of we've got to come together, we have to be so unified, and we have to put the scrutiny where it belongs, and that's back on Daniel Andrews. We've got a job to do, and what our focus has to be is to become the sort of opposition that inspires so much trust that way before the next election, people know, who they're going to vote for.
But Renee Heath, before the election, you were attacked by the Age newspaper for being a member of your church. You were attacked on 60 Minutes for being a member of your church. Matthew Guy disowned you for being a member of your church. How did that actually turn out to affect your vote?
That's a very interesting question. And yes, there was so much attack. It was just extraordinary. So certainly I didn't see it coming. To be honest, I don't think it affected my vote personally. In fact, I just had the most amazing outpouring of support. In fact, when I went to vote myself, there were about 10 people from all different parties, not even our party, came and said, we stand with you. What is happening is wrong. But regardless, I was the first through the gates in the Eastern region, which was actually so lovely. But I think when we begin to capitulate to the media, or when we give in to the intimidation of the left, I honestly think that it affects the Liberal Party at large. It affects it, and it affects it quite badly. I don't think that the public has a lot of faith in the government or in the opposition at the moment. And to be honest, I think that when we don't defend our colleagues, the public look and they think, well, are they going to stand up for me? And that's just something that we've got to begin to sort that out, and we have to come back to our values. Now, this was something that did hit, I think, to the heart and the core of liberalism, because we are the people that stand up for freedom. So when, it might seem like a little thing when somebody like me is attacked, but we have to think about, well, what is it that the voter sees? And I just think that, well, what they see is they think, well, where do the Muslims go? Where do the people of Jewish faith go? Where do the people that are atheists but stand up for liberal values, where do they go? And I just think that we have to have a really hard look at ourselves. We have to come back to what our values are, because I think when we find our values, we're really going to find our voters.
Well said. Look, this war against Christianity, I read last week a fascinating fact in the Age newspaper, the same paper that attacked you. It pointed out that both Premier Daniel Andrews and Liberal leader Matthew Guy both say they're Christians, and I don't doubt them, I guess. But a search of the Age's pictorial files, it said, unearths numerous photos of Guy and Andrews attending mosques, synagogues and various temples, I mean, Sikh and Hindu and so on. But other than attendance at state memorials and funerals, there is not a single picture of either leader attending church for Christian worship. And it shows some of the photos that prove it. The two leaders of Sikh and Hindu temples, mosques, synagogues, no churches. What does that tell you?
That's actually a very interesting observation. The first thing I would point out is potentially their faith is just private, and that's fine. But there's something else that I'd like to talk about, which I think more does go to the heart of it. And that is that our nation was built on Judeo-Christian ethics. That is what the foundation of our democracy is and our institution. And I sort of think that this goes two ways. First of all, I think that in terms of Labor and Daniel Andrews, I think that that is a foundation that they are trying to dismantle. I really do believe that. And I think in terms of the Liberal Party, I think that it's something that we've been terrified to fight for. So I think both, in a sense, are, they're as bad as each other. But what I believe that we've been in opposition for far too long, and it is time to get opposition out of our psyche. What we believe in, the foundations of freedom of association, these are things that we just can never give up on. That is what sets us apart, and that is what has set the foundation for Australia to be one of the most peaceful and one of the most prosperous nations on earth. Now, our history isn't perfect. It's far from it. But what we've got to remember is what we have built has made way for multiculturalism, for people of all different faiths and beliefs to get along. But I will point out that true tolerance isn't agreeing with people who agree with you. It's seeing what is the difference, and it's reaching across those boundaries and loving and respecting that in one another.
Absolutely.
Now,
Renee Heath, you put it beautifully.
Yes.
Thank you. You put it beautifully.
Yes,
I'm encouraged to hear that a couple of other new members of the Liberal Party are feeling the same way as you do. I've spoken to one of them, and let's hope. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.